Hi guys, this new pod's a little bit different because I want to walk you through the slides. Um, this is the lesson about Utah's struggle for statehood, and I'm going to explain what I mean by struggle. So, in 1846, Utah asks the national government, hey, can I become a national state, a united state? Because at the time, in 1846, there hadn't been all 50 states. Those were coming, and the government goes, well, no, you don't really have what it takes to be a state. And they're like, okay, all right, we'll ask again later when we think we have what it takes. So, 10 years later, they ask again. It's 1856. Hey, can we be a state now? And the government's like, you still don't meet the requirements, so no. Another 6 years later, much later, they go, can we be a state now? And the government says, no. 10 years later, can we be a state now? The government says no. And at this point, Utah's really getting frustrated. They're like, this has been 20 plus years of us thinking that we should be able to be a state and not being allowed to. So it's another 10 years later. They're like, hey, fine, we'll wait again because some of you might know that this year, 2020, was a census year. And so every 10 years, we figure out how big our population is. So that's kind of part of why they waited 10 years, is because population is going to come into play. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So they ask again, 1880s, can I be a state now? And the government says no. And they're like, this is getting crazy. They ask again in 1887, can I be a state now? The government says no. This is six times that they've applied for statehood and been rejected. So this is going to be the next segment, is what's so special about being a state. But first, I want you to go on and answer the Nearpod questions that follow. And that's how this pattern's going to go, is I'll talk a little bit, go through a few slides, and then I want you to answer some participation questions for me to show that you're still with me, you're following along, and that you are learning.